Hi everyone, so today I feel like the burning question to address sort of in an unrehearsed, unfiltered, unedited way is the subject of money. It's such a vast subject, but I want to specifically zero in on some of the interpretation of money, misinterpretation of money, specifically in spirituality circles, some of the vernacular that's developed around how we talk about money. And the reason I'm focusing on that particular area is because I have been living, since I sort of stepped away from conventional mainstream society, I've been living amongst people that I can say are with a strong focus on spirituality and spiritual pursuits. I myself did not join such communities, particularly for that reason. I was looking to exit the matrix and cooperate with others in a very bioregional way, to create an alternative way of exchange and to create a more reciprocal and just way of living and sustainable living and all those reasons. But there's a lot of overlap between people that exited the mainstream society paradigm and people who are also in some of these locations like Costa Rica, where I'm blogging from, who are interested in spirituality. So I have my own form of spirituality that I'm not going to define in this video, but basically what I'm seeing is like a large degree of the people that are in spiritual circles are talking about money in euphemistic types of ways, using alternative vernacular, not really calling the spade a spade, speaking of economic exchange as an energy exchange entirely. And there's some of that typical spiritual bypassing around money, and not really calling the spade a spade, and not really speaking in clear terms around it. I think the reason for that is primarily the infiltration of some of these ideas on manifestation, how we manifest money, how we manifest abundance. So let's tackle those separately. So first of all, manifestation is looked upon as something that is specifically subjective to the individual. The amount of money that they have or that they're attracting is looked at as something that is separate from the socioeconomic context, almost overriding reality. It's all sort of a byproduct of some form of magic, essentially, that brings in material resources, and synchronicities that bring material resources to that person. And it's a personal manifestation that is defined as that. So we're not looking at some kind of co-creation with others that is bringing more abundance to our lives, but it's sort of there's a heavy emphasis on the individual as the sole creator of their own reality. So it creates this sort of subjective bubble around all the actors on the stage, and it doesn't really look at context and some of the larger political and financial schemes that are going on in the world right now. I find it to be very, very myopic and very much in denial of the fact that no matter what we call our exchanges, we're still operating under the premise of the same paradigms, right? We're still functioning inside an unjust, unfair wealth distribution paradigm. The Federal Reserve is issuing money and charging interest. The top class 300 type A shareholders of the Federal Reserve have never been disclosed. So these are anonymous elite people in positions of power that are dictating some of the financial rules. We have seen a rise in billionaires exponentially during the COVID pandemic. And all of these things are somehow not really taken into account. It's almost like people in spiritual circles are turning a blind eye to that and look at their social status and their money, the money in their account as a product of their own creation and nothing else. And I find that to be very conflicting and problematic. And it's also problematic for the people themselves that are adopting this kind of thinking, because basically when things are good, things are good, and it just kind of like inflates the ego. to flaunt a certain type of abundance, to post pictures from exotic locations that other people don't have a chance to travel to, or to do photo shoots at expansive mansions and demonstrate how successful the person. But when things are low, it gets really tricky for people to share and really seek support. And usually they attribute that to some kind of money wound and self-worth issues, you know. And that brings me to my next subject, which is about sort of the concept of abundance that's being applied. It's being spiritualized in the realm of money. So money is being spiritualized as an abundant, ever abundant flow. And it's being likened to how nature works. And so let's tackle that. Is nature eternally abundant? Yes, nature possesses a lot of renewable ways of regenerating. However, everything in nature that we have access to, that we can convert for our own consumption and utilization, is cyclical. It's not like a tap that you turn on and it's always there. Sometimes there's a flood, sometimes there's a drought, sometimes certain fruits are in season and sometimes they're not available, sometimes there's calamity. So to say that money is eternally abundant and we just need to draw in more and more and do manifestation rituals is kind of excessive and delusional. We need to honor the cyclical nature of nature and live within those cycles with humility. And we also need to honor the cyclical nature of our lives. Sometimes we have more, sometimes we have less. And it's not just a reflection of our self-worth or what thoughts we're putting out there and what we're attracting. It's also something to do with what we are called to cultivate more, and what kind of energy are we expending in the world, and how are we circulating our gifts, and whether we're in the right context to offer our gifts and receive reimbursement and validation and appreciation. I mean, I have to say, I've come across a lot of brilliant people that have no means, and the reason for that is that the context in which they were operating did not acknowledge nor honor those gifts. Like if you're in a corporate structure, you know, you're not going to be rewarded for certain unique characteristics of creativity. Like you're going to be rewarded when you actually follow the rules very closely and you're compliant, etc., 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 to climb the ladder of success in society. So there's a lot more complexity to it than is being allowed within those discussions, and I just wanted to mention that because right now we're feeling a contraction of sorts in the world. We're not sure if there's like an impending crash of the world economy and how we're going to operate. And when people are experiencing lack, not only are they not being able to speak about it without it feeling so loaded, and just look at the complexity of it all, but they're feeling shamed. They're feeling ashamed for their lack, which is like a double whammy. It's like, wow, not only is there a system that is inequitable, that's operating in the world around the money that we're using every day, but now there's like sort of like this ideology of the new age that have made people feel fully responsible for their lack and feel so ashamed that it just puts them in a state of lack of productivity and excessive embarrassment. So I wanted to speak to that for those who are interested in the subject, and let's see how things pan out. I have no predictions, but I do feel like the debt bubble has grown exponentially. I mean, the economy was set to crash in March 2020 after all economic activity came to a halt, and it's been pumped up artificially all this time, and now we're seeing like certain currencies collapse and cryptos and all the speculation around everything that's going on. And yeah, I'll be speaking more about the issue and monitoring what happens on the markets. So yeah, thanks for listening. It's a very real world type of concern that I'm bringing here, and I'm just trying to put some balance to the whole spiritualization of money talk that's happening and have some real talk around money. Thanks for listening.